Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to take a look at one of Java's most handy features, the enhanced for loop. Now, this is a big deal because it's all about writing code that's cleaner, easier to read, and honestly, just less likely to break. By the time we're done here, you'll know exactly how it works, when you should be using it, and why it's a total game changer for any Java programmer. So if you've been coding in Java for like any amount of time, this line of code is probably burned into your brain. And you've almost definitely thought to yourself, oh, there has got to be a simpler way to do this. Well, guess what? You're right, there is. Okay, so before we jump into the new stuff, let's start with what we all know, right? The classic traditional for loop. It's kind of the workhorse we all learn on day one. It's powerful for sure, but as we're about to see, it comes with a bit of baggage. I mean, look at this. Just to print every number in an array, you've got to do 3 different things. You have to create a counter, you have to check the array's length on every single loop, and then you have to remember to add 1 to the counter. It totally works, but man, that's a lot of setup for something we do all the time. And what's really going on here is that you're juggling all these little pieces of logic in your head at once. It's not just about typing more code. It actually makes it easier to make mistakes. I'm talking about those classic off-by-1 errors that are so annoying to debug. This is exactly why we needed a better way. So what's the big fix? Well, say hello to the enhanced for loop. It was designed from the ground up to get rid of all that extra code, so you can just focus on what you actually want to do with the stuff inside your array. And wow, look at this. The side-by-side really says it all, doesn't it? The enhanced loop is just so clean. It reads like a sentence, not like a bunch of instructions for a machine. No counters, no length checks, no square brackets. So much better. This quote right here gets to the heart of it. You're shifting how you think. Instead of telling Java how to get each item with an index, you're just telling it what you want. It's like saying, hey Java, just go through this nums array and for each thing you find in there, hand it over to me, one at a time. All right, so let's pull back the curtain and see how this thing actually works. The syntax might look a little weird the first time you see it, but I promise you, once you get it, it's incredibly simple. So here's the basic recipe. You've got the for keyword, of course. Then, inside the parentheses, you declare a brand new variable, you put a colon, and then you name the array or collection you want to loop through. That's it. Okay, here is the absolute key to making this click in your brain. See that colon? Just read it out loud as the word in. Seriously. So the code for int n some nums just becomes for each integer n in nums. See? It's plain English. It makes perfect sense. So what's the magic happening under the hood? Well, basically, Java does all the boring stuff for you. It grabs the first element, sticks it in your variable, runs your code, then moves on to the next one, and the next, and so on, until it runs out of elements. You don't have to manage a thing. Now this is where it gets really powerful. This loop isn't just for simple things like integers. Its real strength comes out when you start using it with your own custom objects. Let's look at a more real-world example. So picture this. We have an array, but instead of just numbers, it's full of student objects. Each of these objects has some data inside it, like a name and their marks. And our job is to loop through them and print out some of that info. And check out how clean this is. The loop just goes through the student's array, and each pass, it gives us a complete student object. We're calling it stud here. And from that, we can just grab the name and marks directly. The code is just beautifully simple. Okay, this is the one rule you absolutely have to remember. It's super important. The variable you create inside the loop must have the same type as the things inside your array. Since our array has student objects, our variable stud has to be a student too. If you get that right, it'll work every time. All right, a quick but very important heads up on what to call this thing, especially if you're prepping for an exam or a job interview. A lot of people call it a for each loop, which makes sense, but its official name in Java is the enhanced for loop. Sticking with the official name is a good idea because it avoids any mix-ups with the .forEach method, which is something else entirely. Okay, let's pull all of this together into a quick summary. This is the key stuff you'll want to lock in, whether you're working on a project or getting ready for a test. This table is awesome because it shows you exactly when to use which loop. The traditional loop is still your go-to when you need that index number, like if you need to change something in the array or go through it backwards. But for pretty much everything else, when you just care about the values, the enhanced for loop is cleaner, safer, and just way more readable. So how many counter variables do you need to create, manage, and check for errors when you're using an enhanced for loop? The answer is 0. A big fat zero. And that's the whole point. Like anything in coding, the best way to really get this is to just do it. Practice it. Write a few of these loops yourself. The more you use it, the more it'll become second nature, and pretty soon you'll be wondering how you ever lived without it. And that kind of makes you think, right? The enhanced for loop is a perfect example of how programming languages get smarter over time to make our lives easier. So I'll leave you with this question. What other cool features are hiding in modern Java, just waiting to help you simplify your code even more?